YouTube, welcome back. Thanks for clicking on the video. Trade deadline has passed. There's a lot to unpack here. Some big trades, a lot of underwhelming trades depending on which team you support. So let's just hop into it. Alright, we're going to start with Dallas. Okay, so that was a big trade. That kind of got everything started. Yeah, man, Dallas is loaded. They're really good as they are. The blue line was solid. They brought in Tanev. I guess he's going to play with Heiskanen or Harley. One of those two. Suter's still there. They're loaded up. And they didn't have to give up that much, right? Conditional third, and the Devils get a sixth. And he's a rental. He's probably a rental, right? Play the rest of the season in playoffs, and he's probably going to sign somewhere else. Like a 2 or 3 year deal. Maybe he resigns in Dallas, but I doubt it. I like the deal, man. Right-handed shot too. I like Christopher Tanev. Solid D-man. We saw Leafs get Lyubuskhin. Kind of underwhelming at first, but there's another trade they made today. Okay, Mantha. Okay, so this is the controversial one, right? Anthony Mantha for draft picks. I mean, Tampa was doing this when they were winning cups, right? It's cap circumvention, but technically, I guess it's not against the rules. Because if it was, Bettman would have stepped in by now. They got him at 50% retained, so he's basically a $2.5 million player, bro. And he doesn't. He just has to be another guy, right? He doesn't have to be the focal point of the offense. He's a pending UFA. And all they gave up was what? They gave up a second this year and a fourth in 2026. That's nothing. That's not a bad deal, man. It's really not a bad deal at all. Now this was when this trade, the Senators and Florida trade broke out. It was very underwhelming, but it turns out that Tarasenko had a full no move clause. He wasn't going to go anywhere else but Florida. Apparently he's got family there. That's a nice little trade. And they don't have to give up much. And if he stays healthy, he can score. I mean, the Sens were furious, but it is what it is, right? Tarasenko had all the leverage. It's a 4th round pick this year that will become a 3rd round in 2026 should the Panthers win the Cup. And a 3rd round choice in 25. And the Senators had to retain Ottawa. I don't think it's a new age in Ottawa. I think they're just under new management. I know how things were with Eugene Melnyk. I'm not sure things are much different with Michael Andlauer. Maybe hiring your friends to work for you isn't the best idea. Oil and water. Friendship and money. How about the Florida Panthers, man? If people thought Paul Maurice was just a mediocre coach, he's proving different. He's proving otherwise. And I just saw Florida re-sign Forsling to that 8-year deal. Bill Zito, man. Not a bad, kind of making the Sunshine State or Sunrise, Florida more relevant. And with Tampa's window closing, Panthers, that is, could be the premier team in Florida. I mean, I could see the Panthers getting back if they get the goaltending. The Panthers don't have any picks this year, pretty much. Yeah, so they're really going all in. They're going all in. Edmonton. Now, this deal surprised me because there were names on the market that didn't include the guys that Edmonton got. I don't know, man. I think Kenny Holland's still living in the early 2000s, man. I guess the market was calling for a first rounder for this return. I don't know. Henrique, I like Henrique. I think he could be a good bottom sixer. Got playoff experience. Sam Carrick, I mean, at these rentals, Ducks retained 50%. Tampa received a conditional 4th round pick in 25. Retain an additional 25%. He's got 42 points, man. And he's playing on a bad Ducks team. Okay, so he's a UFA. Pending UFA. Okay, now, a 1st round pick for that? For a rental? Carrick's just a guy. They give him 1 paragraph. Yeah, it's underwhelming. They could have gotten a better D-man. Henrique's not bad, though. What do you guys think about that trade? Okay, my team. They wanted a 1st round pick. Danny B got his 1st round pick. It's a conditional pick. I think it's top 10 protected, so it's most likely going to be in the teens, early 20s. For Sean Walker, right-handed defenseman having a career year, he's being propped up by John Tortorella in his defensive structure in exchange. So it's a 1st for Sean Walker and the 5th going to Colorado. And then Philadelphia gets Ryan Johansson, who got waived. I don't even think he's going to play for the team. He got waived. He cleared waivers. They're going to try and send him to a contending team, I suppose. I thought maybe, for a playoff run, you could stick him in the bottom 6 because the Flyers are banged up right now. They could use some center depth. I don't think he and Torts gets along. So I think they're just going to either send him in the minors or let him go somewhere else. They can trade him. He does have another year on this deal. That much I do know. Yeah, right-handed shot. I mean, that's good for Colorado. Colorado made some big moves too. We'll cover that in a second. So he was a cap dump that LA just threw in. Yeah, fall off for Johansson needs to be studied because he was a pretty good skilled player in Columbus. He goes to Nashville for a few years and he gets traded for basically nothing for Galchenyuk, who's not even in the league anymore. Danny B wanted his first rounder, he got it. I don't foresee the Flyers doing anything else unless a team is willing to meet their asking price. Another trade for Colorado. So at first I didn't know what to think about this because Casey Mittlestadt is a good center. I just didn't know whether he would fit what the Avs were trying to look for. He doesn't have any playoff experience. Sabres had never made it to the postseason during his tenure. He's young, but I don't know, if any Avs fans watch this, I don't know what's the difference between him and Newhook, right? They weren't willing to pay Newhook, but they're willing to give up a young defenseman in Byram to get Mittlestadt. If Byram just didn't mesh well with the blue line, I know his name was being floated around. But they get a young player, young center. What is his 7th season? Really? 47 points, that's good second line production. Now he was, it's Buffalo, right? How good can you be in Buffalo? They get their second line center to replace Johansson. I just don't know, is he gonna fit? Can he acclimatize himself to Colorado that has expectations, right? Buffalo's kind of just whatever. You're playing in Buffalo, but with Colorado, there's expectations, right? He's a skilled player. I'm not convinced necessarily that he can just slide in and go on a playoff run and try and help the team win a Stanley Cup. I'm not quite there yet. But then the Kraken get a pair of draft picks for Alex Wennberg. I know that name is floating around. New York gets some depth. I wonder if they're not done yet. I know because we'll cover the Guentzel trade. An older team in New York. They're trying to win that Stanley Cup. They got all the pieces. The blue line, I guess the blue line, maybe they could get a depth defenseman down there. I think that the bottom 9 or the bottom 6 for New York was a big concern for Chris Drury. And Wennberg's not bad. He's a good two-way forward, playmaking center. He has 215 points. Okay, I'm assuming that's 21. Well, Wennberg's good, but he ain't that good. That's his story. It's like Connor. It's better than McDavid or Gretzky or Lemieux in 60 games. Yeah, right. Here is the big deal. Vegas gets Noah Hanifin, who's a pending UFA. I think they had an extension in place. I could be mistaken. In exchange for a conditional first next year, a conditional third, and a 5th round pick this year that goes to Philly for brokering the deal. I think Philly retained like 25%. And then a minor leaguer. So Calgary's in a weird spot, man. Guys who don't want to play there. They got rid of Lindholm earlier. Markstrom could be on the way out. I'm not quite sure what they do next. They have some money invested in older guys. Uyghur, Huberdeau, Kadri, Mikhail Backlund. I don't know. Well, is Craig Conroy going to strip it down? Is he going to try and get progressively younger? He got some assets back. I just don't know what the plan is. I guess the summer will kind of clarify things, especially if they get a haul for Jacob Markstrom. I always liked Hanifin when he was drafted. I was hoping he would fall to the Flyers, but obviously he didn't. I always liked Hanifin. I think he plays a good, sturdy game. Not too flashy, but kind of like maybe like a less offensively talented Pietrangelo. Just very sturdy. Eats a lot of minutes. Like a Jacob Slavin almost. Second trade for Toronto. They get Edmundson. Up experience. Big body. Can kill penalties. I don't know how effective he'll be. Toronto, man. I don't know. It's not even about the playoffs at this point. It's about getting the Stanley Cup. I just don't know. I'm going to be skeptical until they actually reach the 3rd round or get to the Stanley Cup. And I'm rooting for him. I've been rooting for him. I've been following Matthews, this entire group, since Matthews was drafted. And Nylander and Marner came into the league. I've been following them for that long. And it was funny to root against them, to watch them fail every year, but I'm rooting for them now. And with Tampa and Boston getting older, I think now this the next couple of years is as good as any before guys start to get older, before they have to get paid. Matthews is 26. Like, he's turning 27 this year, I think. Marner, same thing. Nylander's 28 now, is he not? Guys are getting older, man. They're not young guys anymore. It's not like you can't pull the young card. These are young veterans now. It's going to come down to their depth and their goaltending, and their blue line in particular, like the blue line depth. Anthony Beauvillier getting tossed around like a blunt. Gets traded from the island to Vancouver, plays like a half season there, or like a season and a half. Gets traded to Chicago in a cap dump. Like, I think Chicago only gave up a 5th round pick, the late round pick, to get him. Now he gets reacquired by Barry Trotz in Nashville this time for a 5th round pick. I mean, good depth goal scoring. I like Beauvillier. He was really good on the island. Just, I don't know. Nashville's in a weird spot as well because they're not rebuilding. They have some young players who are sneakily, propping the team up. O'Reilly signed there. They also have some older guys like Soros is a UFA soon. It'll be interesting interesting to see how Barry Trotz shapes the team, which young guys he brings up, who gets shipped out, that kind of thing. They have that Askarov goaltender who could be the replacement if they move Saros. They're in a weird spot. They're in a very weird spot. I don't think they've ever, like, with the exception of their early inception days, they've never had a true rebuild. Like the David Legwand days, right? Colorado bolstering their lineup, a third-round pick for Brendan Duhaime. Don't know much about him. I assume he's just a fourth liner, big body that can crash and bang. Edmonton gets a defenseman. Troy Stecher, again, underwhelming. Like, yeah, he's a good defenseman, reliable. They get a 7th for this year in exchange for a 2027 4th. I don't recall these later picks. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention, but with trades in the NHL, I don't recall like later picks being moved as frequently as they have been now. Like 2, 3, 4 years in the future. It's always like the next year or maybe the year after. Not like 3 or 4 years in the future. Underwhelming again, but it's not like it's just mid. It's a mid trade. That's kind of how you describe Ken Holland at this point. You have 2 generational superstars who are pending free agents in a couple of years, and like at some point you gotta put your balls on the table and go for it. Get that Buchnevich. Get the big name to help out. If you can make the money work, of course. But again, Colorado, wasn't Yakov Trenin, I can't recall if he was a part of that Shane Bowers trade that sent Duchesne to Ottawa a couple of years ago. Then Kyle Turris went to Nashville. I could be mistaken. But he's a big body, plays a scrappy game, they get a depth defenseman. Now I saw this Jeremy Handel guy. I don't know if that was Colorado who had signed him to his ELC or if Nashville signed him to his ELC. That'd be kind of cold, man. Get signed to your ELC, then traded on the same day. So it was probably Nashville that signed him. Jeremy Hansel signs his ELC with Colorado, then gets traded. That had to have been intentional. There's no way they just got this kid's hopes up and then traded him away to a different team. Okay, this just went down like recently. Lightning get Anthony Duclair and a 7th in exchange for Jack Thompson at 3rd. That's not bad. That's a good depth, like a middle 6 goal scoring right there. I know Tampa's blue line is hurting since Sergachev went down. Alright, so the trade went down, Thursday night? But it wasn't made official until Friday morning, I think. The Guentzel trade. Pittsburgh finally, it looks like the glory days have passed. Guentzel and Ty Smith gets dealt for Bunting, who had just signed with Carolina, which is crazy. And a bunch of prospects that I honestly don't know if they are going to pan out. The only name I recognize there is Cruz Lucers. And then they got a pair of draft picks. Man, Pittsburgh, I don't know. It was a weird trade deadline in terms of returns for selling teams. I don't know what to make of it. If Guentzel resigns in Pittsburgh, maybe it's a different story, but I doubt it. He's going to go to market. He's going to get a big bag in free agency. I think the glory days have passed. You're going to have to wait for the next Crosby to come and save the franchise. So this one was surprising. Kuznetsov to Carolina for a 3rd, and Washington retains 50%. So basically, he's a $4 million player for 1 more year. I don't know if Kuznetsov is going to fit Rob Brindamore's system, especially because they're trying to win a cup. Now, Kuznetsov does have the experience, but if he can't keep his nose clean, I'm not sure he's going to be much use. Sub-Zero goes to Columbus. That's nothing trade. Tyler Toffoli, just picked him up in the offseason. He's going to Winnipeg for a 2nd and a 3rd. And again, underwhelming. Toffoli was having a decent season, I guess. Nothing crazy. I thought New Jersey might want to kick it back 1 more year because they had some injuries. Goaltending didn't really work out, but they're selling. They sold this at deadline. Winnipeg's going for it. Cheveldayoff finally saying enough's enough. You want to make some noise, get that playoff revenue. I like Toffoli, man. He's good. Again, good middle 6 or maybe in the top 6 on a good team. Has a cup to his name. And it's nice to see them get some. I know the uncertainty with Hellebuck and Scheifele last offseason. It's nice to see them have a plan and they're gonna try and make some moves. Okposo. So I read Okposo had been in Buffalo for 8 seasons. That's crazy. He goes to Florida, who's trying to load up. They got Tarasenko. Now they're adding Kyle Okposo, veteranosity. I mean, at 35, he's a depth beast. Nothing too crazy. Okay, so Pittsburgh gets a 4th for Chad Ruhwedel. Chris Drury gets a depth defenseman. Similar to what they did with Mikkola. I think it was, last year or the year before. Just some depth for that 3rd pair, penalty kill. The Rangers, they're in a tight spot as well because they're getting older. They're a team for right now. And some might say, I was poking around Ranger Twitter, Some people are underwhelmed by what Drury did at the deadline. It's not really an all-in year in my eyes. That they still have their core intact. I mean,
Today, Junior!
Ruhwedel is nothing to sneeze at. He's not bad. It's just I think people were expecting a home run. They didn't get it. They were expecting Guentzel or some big name. They didn't get it. But honestly, the biggest acquisition might be the emergence of Lafreniere and the continued consistency from Kaapo Kahkonen as a checking line, puck-hound kind of forward. So maybe that's enough. Maybe they can get over the hump this year. At Maroon to Boston. Okay, just some veteranosity on the fourth line. Okay, so Arizona. Boy, I would not want to be an Arizona Coyote fan right now. You gotta play in a college arena. Their team is perpetually garbage. Since time immemorial, they've been trash. And they couldn't even get anything substantial for two of their biggest trading chips. Jason Zucker to Nashville for a sixth. They were asking for a second and a prospect. Like, you couldn't even get a third or a conditional third or something. A 6th round pick? Yeah, Arizona, just the bad luck continues. They must be a laundering scheme. There's no way their franchise can still exist. Gary Bettman will move heaven and earth to keep them in Arizona. The Wings. So apparently Klim Kostin wasn't doing well. They just gave him up for a minor leaguer and a 7th. It's a nothing trade again. So the Red Wings stood pat for the most part. I think Stevie Y wants to see what this group is made of. Not ready to go in terms of giving up future assets for a playoff push. He's been very adamant about that. I don't know if Detroit fans are losing patience or not. Personally, I believe in Steve Yzerman. I wouldn't say a demigod, but he's as close to a demigod as you can get. If I were a fan of the Red Wings, I would trust him. And who knows, if Detroit makes some noise this postseason, maybe Yzerman goes out and gets some more pieces in the offseason. Jake Allen. So New Jersey settles for another goalie since Markstrom didn't get moved. It's Allen, and then Jersey acquired another goalie, Kaapo Kahkonen. So they can go from Schmid and Vanacek, who got moved, and Nico Dawes to Allen and Vanacek for Kaapo Kahkonen. I mean, Jersey's not out of the playoff hunt. They're trying to make some moves. Yeah, I like Jake Allen personally. I just don't know if it's too late. The coaching change maybe spark something. It would be nice if they made the playoffs after selling Toffoli and Vanacek, get some assets for the future. Yeah, I don't know. Jersey's just had a weird year. I think if they were to punt this season, just reload for next year, it'd be wiser, but they're going to try. Tom Fitzgerald wants to make the postseason, so Philadelphia Flyers. Just swapping reclamation projects, I guess. Garanov, he was with Dallas, then I think he got dealt to Montreal. He had one good year and he fell off. He's fast, he has some size, he can score. His game kind of fell apart. I think when he was with Dallas, he had that one good year and then he kind of fell apart. And Wade Allison, I liked Wade Allison in Philly. He just couldn't stay healthy. The Flyers wouldn't be done. They picked up Erik Johnson for a 4th. Now, Flyers Twitter was very on the fence, or it was a polarizing move. I expected Walker or Sealer to get moved, McSealer, so it wasn't surprising that they held on to one and got rid of the other. Erik Johnson for a 4th, I mean, they're banged up back there, right? Ristolainen's out, Drysdale's out, could be for the rest of the year, and so they want to give some stability to their blue line down the stretch. I know Mark Stahl's there, but I think he's on his last legs. Erik Johnson, right-handed shot, cup experience, for a 4th, it's not the end of the world. Flyers have a lot of picks this year. I think people are still in the mindset of a true rebuild, which is not what the Flyers are doing. They're going to tinker, they're going to find the right pieces to bring in, ship out the wrong pieces, and then try and supplement that with their young guys that they're trying to draft. Boston picks up a depth defenseman for Saboril and a 3rd. Here's another trade. Matt Dumba and a 7th to Tampa for a 5th. Arizona got nothing. Now, I know Dumba isn't what he used to be during his final years in Minnesota, but a 5th, that's it. Right-handed shot, plays a physical game. I think you can get more than that. It really was a buyer's market. That could help Tampa. I know they're hurting back there. No Sergachev. That Jeannot trade was garbage. I think Julian Brisebois, it's clear that Steve Yzerman was doing the heavy lifting. He built the team. Yeah, Brisebois brought in the muscle. That Jeannot trade really, that could be their undoing, because he hasn't been good. And I don't know if Julian Brisebois is, I don't know. I think he's becoming more of a meme at this point. Jack Roslovic, so Chris Drury, okay, so Roslovic is no slouch. He's a good middle sixer. I think he had 45, 50 points last year. He played in Columbus, played in Winnipeg. He's not a bad forward at all. He can play center as well. Okay, so he's a UFA. It's a rental. It's a nothing. If it doesn't work out, they let him go, or they can re-sign him. Close your eyes if you're against the Vegas Golden Knights. They just pulled off another big trade. Tomas Hertl, and they received 2/3 to take on that contract, I assume. from San Jose in exchange for a first-round pick next year and David Edstrom, which was Vegas' first-round pick in this last summer's draft. So they're going for it. So don't be surprised if you see Stone and Eichel come back. Stone is reported to have a lacerated spleen, so I don't know how you could fake that. Colin Miller. Colin Miller's not a bad defenseman. He goes for a fourth. Winnipeg loading up. Again, shovel day off. Loading up. Yeah, it was just so weird in terms of just returns. Okay, a fourth-round pick, but I don't know, it seemed underwhelming. But good for Winnipeg and good for Colin Miller going to a playoff-bound team. A bunch of minor leaguers, don't care about that. Kaapo Kahkonen to San Jose for Vanacek in the 7th. So New Jersey's just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, I guess. We'll see how that works out on the stretch. Kahkonen's 25, 26. He's not exactly a youngster. But playing on a bad San Jose team, maybe some change of scenery will help. So I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Did you like what your team did at the deadline? Were you underwhelmed? I know Toronto fans might not be thrilled with what they got. Vancouver didn't make any moves. I guess their move was the Lindholm acquisition. They didn't sign Phil Kessel, unfortunately, the Cookie Monster. He might be done. But yeah, man, I think Colorado, Colorado, even Philadelphia to a lesser extent. Carolina, definitely, they won the deadline in my opinion. With Winnipeg as a sleeper team for sure. Losers, definitely Arizona. They didn't get squat for their pending UFAs. Jersey, again, they're trying to make the playoffs, so I didn't expect them to blow up the entire team, right? But they get in with those trades, fine. If not, it is what it is. St. Louis didn't make any moves. I know Buchnevich's name was out there. I didn't see any moves from them. Seattle, Pittsburgh, man. Right now, they're probably the biggest loser. Unless those prospects and those draft picks pan out to something, underwhelming. But deadline aside, maybe Dubas can work some magic in the offseason, but I'm not holding my breath. Minnesota didn't do much. Bill Guerin, man. I think, I know they have a lot of dead cap space from the Suter and Parise buyouts, but I don't know. Maybe ownership is just tying his hands. I have not been impressed with Bill Guerin's tenure thus far in Minnesota. I loved him as a player, so sometimes it doesn't always translate, right? Tampa, I think they'll be fine. Their big guns will still carry them, but they're running out of kicks at the can, so to speak. Just age and wear and tear. Vegas, of course. Forgot about Vegas. I think they won the deadline, especially given the circumstances, the climate. They didn't have to give up much, really. Yeah, those are my thoughts, man. I'm going to be doing a lot of reactions down the stretch on Twitch and on the YouTube, so I'm excited to see what the buying teams can do, what the selling teams can do down the stretch. Yeah, if you like this video, man, you want to see more reactions, leave a thumbs up, comment your favorite team, your thoughts on the deadline. Let me know what you guys think. Until then, see you in my next video. Peace, y'all.